What are you holding on to that you need to let go of? It could be material things, or it could be thoughts about yourself, ideas or old ways of thinking. There's a quote that says, "Clutter is not just the stuff on your floor. It's anything that stands between you and the life you want to be living." My name is Katie, and I love talking about Jesus and the Bible, homemaking, gluten-free baking, and anything creative. And today we're going to talk about clutter. Not just your junk drawer, but the clutter in your mind. I grew up in a very messy room. I would collect things and never throw them away. It would just pile up and up and up. It would get dusty and dirty, and that became my norm. It didn't look dirty to me after a while. I didn't grow up with very much money, and we were always given things. And I always felt the need to hold on to everything that was given to me, even if I didn't like it. But when did that change? How did I go from living like that to living with less instead of being a hoarder, to having clean spaces instead of living in dust, and it being my norm? Someone had to point out the problem to me. I couldn't notice it by myself. And that reminds me of when you become a Christian. You can't do it on your own. Someone has to show you your condition, your need for Christ. Otherwise, you'll be too comfortable to notice something isn't quite right. The human heart is the most deceitful of all things and desperately wicked. Who really knows how bad it is? Romans 3 verses 23 to 24 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and all are justified freely by His grace through the redemption that came by Christ Jesus." When you live a certain way for a long time, sometimes you can't really see objectively. You can be comfortable even if it's unhealthy. My husband was the one to point it out to me, and at the time, he was only my boyfriend. But since then, I've run with it. I've started to declutter my clothes, my stuff, and even his stuff. But I also had a problem with spending money, and just money in general. I didn't like it, and frankly, I still don't. I get very stressed and anxious whenever I use money. I don't want to waste it or spend too much, and 90% of the time, I get less than what I need, in fear of overspending, even though my definition of overspending is probably getting what I need. That is one of the thoughts I need to let go of, that spending money on myself is a waste of money, and taking care of myself is not a good use of money. What thoughts do you need to let go of? It's funny how trying to spend less money can get you spending a ton of money. Because when you tend to buy cheaper things to save money, they normally break sooner and you have to replace them sooner, which means you'll end up spending more money in the long run than if you were just to buy the one good quality item. It doesn't make sense to buy a bunch of junk that you don't like just because it's cheaper. Your house will be filled with a bunch of junk that you don't like, and then you have to maintain that junk that you don't like. What's the point? There is none. So, if we can throw away our precious time scrolling on social media or talking to people we really shouldn't be talking to, you can throw away your stuff because it's worth way less than your time. Don't buy things you don't love. If it's not what you wanted, don't settle. You can wait till you find something you actually love. You went this long without it, you can wait a day more or a week more. Don't buy it now. Sure, in a pinch, if you really need to get something and it's not exactly what you wanted, but you need it, fine, get it. But if you really don't need it right now, just wait. When our houses are filled to the brim with things even that we like, it causes problems. Research from the US in 2009 found that the levels of the stress hormone cortisol were higher in mothers whose home environment was cluttered. Matthew 6 verse 19 to 21 says, Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. It's interesting that it says where our treasure is, that's where our hearts will also be. Because that's pointing to being caught up and so fixated on our physical items that we lose sight of what actually matters. Life is really not about all the stuff on earth that we can accumulate. We should really have a heavenly mindset and keeping our eyes on things above, like it says in Colossians 3. So today, if you're struggling in the same way I was, where you just have too much stuff and maybe it's kind of dirty, don't stay there any longer. The things we have should serve us. We should not be serving them. You do not have to hang on to these things anymore. It's okay to let go. And not that it's just okay, you should let go. You need to let go. If you made it this far, comment a yellow heart emoji, and if you need help to start decluttering, there is a 3-day challenge in the description that will help you declutter your heart and your home, and it's totally free. Just check the description and please come back to the video after you've completed it and let me know if it's helped you in any way. It's not hard to complete, it's super easy and super friendly to a busy person. If this video helped you, I want you to like the video and share it with a friend you think it would help. Thank you so much for watching this video.